Welcome. It is Tuesday. Kind of a rough day. My tech is still sick, so that sucks for him. And we're trying to get through the work that we have here. Now, we're not really, we got a lot of cars here, but it's not as much as it can be. And it's kind of like a really good blessing in disguise. But we had 2 tow-ins today. This car came in. We're going to go through like the work that's here and just kind of some thoughts on my mind. But normally this car would never come in, but she was really nice. 99 Jeep Cherokee. She pre-approved $1,500 to get it fixed. To fix her issue, which is this right rear. She said that she had a brake fluid leak. You can kind of see that on camera. Oh, maybe. Look at the rotor. Hard to see on camera probably without a flashlight. See if it'll lighten up a little bit. Now what's crazy is the pads themselves look decent. So the rotor is shoved up against the caliper carrier. So we have to yank that apart and see what the heck's going on. I don't know if that fluid is brake fluid or gear oil, but she still had a brake pedal, she said. And then she said she had to tow it in because the car caught on fire on that wheel. So we got some issues for sure. So that one was towed in, and then this one came in. This is a pretty cool truck. It came up here from up north. We fixed oxygen sensors in that a few months ago, and it's got a no start now we got to deal with. We finished up this Traverse that blew a heater hose, and we got that heater hose done. Filled it with water, did a head gasket test on it. Passed the head gasket test, called the customer back, got the approval for the rest of the repairs for the other heater hose and the thermostat. Just got done bleeding it, pressure testing it to make sure we don't have any leaks, so that is good. Got to get it up in the air tomorrow morning, get the shields put back on it, and kind of move on from that. This guy's still, his car's still here, this Dodge Charger. We're doing front end stuff and doing some maintenance on it. He's trying to do little chunks at a time for the next like month at a time. And then we're knocking out some of what he can. Now, he's in a loaner, so I'm not really pushing to get his car back. I don't like taking work from one guy and going to the next. Let me wipe this camera off. Oh, come on now. Oh my gosh. Stand by. Flash is on. There we go. And I don't like swapping cars between technicians. So I kind of, if he's in a loaner car, I kind of want to keep it that way. So we got some time with him because he's in a loaner. The Cadillac DTS, the one that I spoke of in the last video, Brandon Steckler helped me out with that. This morning I didn't get to grab any. It's pretty busy, man. I can't really make videos. I would like to start doing that. And maybe when I'm an owner, doing owner things, and I'm not actually wrenching on cars, I might be able to do that kind of stuff. But for now, I got to kind of focus on paying the bills. But Brandon Steckler came in clutch, man. I needed some guidance on that, and I don't have anybody to rely on. Yeah, I have friends in the industry, but it's like they're busy doing their thing, right? And, to reach out to trainers and other smart people, like it's okay for like a quick question, in my opinion. And I did that before I reached out to Brandon. As a matter of fact, I reached out to Brandon to see what his program was and how it worked. And then it just was like, here, let's talk about this car. Brandon might watch this, and it's like, I get a bill. I mean, after a few minutes of talking, realizing that, okay, this is going to be like a paid service for this one, not just a quick question. I knew I was going to pay him anyway, even if he didn't send me an invoice. But it was funny because we never actually discussed anything other than like how much it cost, and then we never said that I was going to do it. He just like offered to help me real quick on something, but I'm grateful. So let's talk about what that was. So the Cadillac DTS came in, and it had intermittent O2 sensors not working. Now it had inactivity faults, I think is what it was, and it did have a heater circuit performance fault, but not an open circuit fault. So we went through what we could on why it was like kind of stuck in open loop. And it was basically because the faults that were there. And, but what was strange is that we could get the O2 sensors to come online a little bit, but they were like pegged lean. I'm talking like 0.035 volts, right? And the rear one is still questionable, but we're going to try to do the 2 front ones. And both of those oxygen sensors fixed the car, by the way. But what we did on that was that we scoped supply voltage to the heater, and then we scoped exit voltage from the heater. And we had 0 volts on the exit, which is what we expect when it turns on. And we had a constant 12 volts on there, so we don't have a voltage drop issue from the sensor back to the PCM. And we put an amp clamp on there too, and was able to watch how much current. And we did it to both. I did it to both oxygen sensors. So we had good data to definitively say that this is going to put oxygen sensors in it. And this is where it gets kind of weird. Like I talked about this before about like Swaptronics and stuff. The testing alone to do all of that was the same price as putting oxygen sensors in it. So is it worth it to do all that and take a guess on oxygen sensors? I mean, I think it is, because otherwise we're wasting $500 on oxygen sensors to find out it needs something else. So on that particular scenario, maybe not, right? But there's a reason why some shops out there aren't charging for diag and they're swapping parts, because it can be less expensive. Can be. So anyway, we're doing an inspection on that, so I need to test drive that thing through a drive cycle and try to get it through, get the monitors reset so I can run it through the emissions machine. The other car that came in today was a pre-sold valve cover gasket on this Subaru. Let me tell you something, man. I think this is an F24 engine, if it sounds right. Maybe if it's not, don't crucify me. But when you do these, that rocker shaft cover on that, the real shiny aluminum part next to that cam lobe, all the way down the other side, and then this side, which is a double side, like double thick, all the way down. Those things are 100% completely covered in silicone, and it is an absolute nightmare to get that stuff off of there. And I'm the kind of person that's going to scrape that stuff off because I don't want to do this job again. Wow, was it undersold. 1.8 hours with the multiplier to do that valve cover gasket. It's taken over an hour to get that stuff off of there. I have a buddy that has a Subaru shop, and I just mentioned to him that I would probably be willing to commit a felony against the engineer that does that. But he said that Subaru actually came out with an aerosol silicone gasket remover. Now, it might be the exact same stuff that I have right here, and I'll share it with you guys. This stuff right here works really well for doing gaskets, and it does remove RTV, right? And it's really good for pulling paint off. I don't know, since they got rid of a lot of that paint stripper, whether or not that stuff is still available, because they did something, EPA did something with the paint strippers. So maybe it's not the same chemical, but Subaru has something out there that will soften that up and make it a lot easier. So I'll look into that and see what I can do. But what a nightmare. One valve cover gasket. You know, I'm only putting the one on that's leaking, and we did spark plugs on it. I get it all apart, I get it all clean, and I'm finally ready to put it together, and the wrong valve cover gasket was ordered. We knew it was labeled as right valve cover gasket in the title, and the left valve cover gasket was ordered. So I was staying late to try to get this done so I can get started on the other work for tomorrow. And that's kind of defeating. And my feet are hurting. I usually change my boots between Thorogood work boots and my Keen Utility work sneakers. And I can tell when I don't wear my sneakers, man. But for boots wise, let me show you these things, man. These are Thorogood boots. Now, they've been around for a long time. You can tell the leather's starting to crack real bad. And I used to take care of them. I got a rip on the leather. Happened, a manhole cover came down and ripped the toe off, so I had it re-glued. But I've had these boots probably for 5 years, and I'm hard on my shoes, and I'm really happy with them. They've been sold 3 times. I did change the eyelets out because they had hooks, and I got rid of those because they were starting to pull through, and I replaced them with eyelets right away. But these are great. The Keen Utility sneakers, they almost look like old skater shoes from like the 80s and 90s, like a mid top. They're a safety toe. You can't even tell. Extremely comfortable. And when I went and tried to get some new shoes for this stuff, I wanted a true like ANSI oil resistant sole, and it was really hard to find something that had the spec for oil resistant. And You know, so I got them and they're extremely comfortable. So I'm really happy with them. But my feet are killing me today. So I'm kind of grateful that that thing was wrong. So I don't have to mess with it. The Lexus water pump and idler pulley came in today, and we ran out of time. And I gave the option to my tech. I'm like, hey, dude, if you want the overtime, it's here. No pressure. You know, I'm like, if you want it, you want it. And he was kind of going back and forth. His wife made dinner and stuff, and he's like, I don't really want to deal with that. I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it. Don't. And he was like, I really want the hours. I'm like, well, I understand. You know, it's kind of hard because we're trying to get caught up because I have a tech out for 2 days. But like, the expectation is from 8 to 5, man. You know, so there's like, I'm not asking you to stay late. If you want to, you can. And again, I don't want him to get halfway through started on this, knowing that it's going to have to go back to the other tech, or he's going to have to finish it. And it's like never swapping techs back and forth, and that's not good for continuity. And it's kind of defeating, you know, so we don't want to get into that one. So that's what we got going on in the shop. Tomorrow we have that tow-in I showed you for the brake concern, or axle bearing or something that's going on with that. And then I already have the work dispatched. We have a Dodge Durango here that has an electrical problem with the headlight. Well, it's the Durango with the headlight with the module inside it, and it's full of water. So it's going to need a headlight. I just hope it's not the Citadel version that has, like, it's absolutely impossible to find. There was a car in here like last year that had a bad headlight from an accident, and they couldn't get the headlight, and eventually it created a no start concern because the headlight was bad, and they were going to total the car out because they couldn't find a headlight. And I ended up finding one in Texas that looked pretty decent, but the freaking salvage yard wrote with like their wax pen on the headlight for the stock number, and it like stained the headlight and you couldn't get it out. So dumb, but she was happy to get her car back. I have a Honda Accord that's coming back for a probably a warranty catalytic converter. This is it. Like, we've been in business for 2.5 years now, and I've tried every brand aftermarket catalytic converter, and I am so done with it. Right. The last training convention I went to, I was talking to the Walker guy, and Walker has an OE line catalytic converter. Or I can probably start just getting federal or California emissions one that have, you know, more ceramic in it, maybe. But I'm just so over it. I don't care if I get warranty backing on the parts. I just want to be done with it. So I'm probably just going to start selling like OE catalytic converters and kind of managing gross profit per hour on those jobs so I can get them sold and maybe reduce the warranty. Like, give them an option of, this is what it is for a 1-year warranty, knowing I have a vendor backing on the 1 year, or I can do a 3-year warranty at full matrix, right? But I think that's what we're going to start doing with those things. So it's kind of light on the work, but we have other cars sitting here, so we should be good. And then I have to finish up that valve cover. I'm not going to have that valve cover gasket until 12:30, so that's going to be, you know, a problem to like get done at the end of the day like that. But there's enough hours here that we're going to stay plenty busy. So yeah, frustrating. Let me tell you, man, it's hard. And I hope my tech's healthy enough to come back to work. Obviously I don't want him back if he's like still sick. That's not good for anybody. So I'm hoping hoping the rest of the week will turn out to be okay. When this stuff happens, it's easy to just be like, forget it. It was a wash. Let's worry about next week. It's kind of a bad attitude. You can't let that happen. And we were so busy, like we were knocking it out of the park, honestly, for this month. But this week is going to kill the month again, you know, and that's frustrating when you see that. Then you have to have a good week plus some to make up for this week. So we'll get there. All right, guys. I'll give you an update on 100% like fix on the Cadillac. And then we'll talk about what we find on that Jeep tomorrow. Okay, remarks complete.